different choices.
All right, so we'll clear you guys out.
We're going to go daylight on. That sort of thing. You are sending the fire out. So the fire comes from right here and is sent out to them. All right, great. Let's go on rehearsal.
I like it. It's good. I'm kind of homesick.
I'm gonna throw you into the wall.
1, 2, 3.
Oh man, that's so cool.
I think that'll work.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kareem? Did you see that?
Yeah.
And action!
It's a dream come true. You know, it really
Seriously.
is. I think as, you know, actors, it's really always exciting when you have a world constructed for you that is supernatural and has supernatural elements and lives in the vein of, you know, superpowers and special abilities that Stephen King does so well. Yeah. But what Stephen does is he roots everything in the human connection, and in this case, it's about family and you know, Charlie's struggle to grow up with these powers that are really coming into, you know, fruition as anytime she gets sort of angry, upset, or triggered emotionally. It's really about family and protecting one another and coming to understand, you know, what it is to be a parent and how to best look after your kids. And then we also get to go through one of the most crazy, psychedelic, fire-fueled chase sequences of all time. So thank you, Stephen King, for this.
Yes.
It's great. Yeah, Andy is he's a very resilient character. That's very well put. He's been through a lot. I think that, you know, over the course of his life, he's had a very tough go. I think he's kind of scarred from the experience of obtaining these powers through some pretty gnarly experimentation in these MK Ultra-like experiments, and has just by the skin of his teeth been able to escape and keep his family safe and away from these government agencies that are constantly after him. So he's now at this moment where he's trying to decide what's the best way to handle what's happening to his daughter. Andy and Vicky have different abilities. They went through this pretty rigorous experimentation process were given sort of different, we don't quite really know, but they were definitely tested on with different psychoactive chemicals, and these special abilities started to emerge. And together, I guess our child has developed sort of an even greater power. It's as it is coming into, as she's coming into her young adulthood, she's seeing it grow and manifest, and that things are lighting on fire whenever she's getting angry, upset, or scared. And also, we're not really clear. It seems like, I don't want to give too much away of the film, but we're not quite sure of the limits of Charlie's powers. So Charlie is kind of developing powers that are above and beyond anything else that we've ever seen. personally have a great relationship with my own father, and so I kind of got to just play the reverse scenario in my mind, and I thought about what my dad did or what my dad would do in these scenarios, because he is quite like Andy, I think, in some ways. And so I had a lot to draw on from that, just in growing up with my dad.
My first impression with Zach, which was this ping pong rally, which I lost dramatically in.
I've been playing for a long time. You're pretty good. Don't worry, you're pretty good. You'll get there. A little more training, you'll be right there.
But yeah, and he was there for me throughout the entire shoot, and if I had any questions, he was always there for me, and he was such a grounded actor and was so present and immediate, and it was wonderful working with someone like that.
See, and she's such a pro, as you can tell. I remember on the first day we had some pretty serious scene work, and you were so good. I just got really, really excited about how much fun we were going to have. There were some days when you had your sort of power moments with the screaming and sort of you were letting the fire go. I still don't know how you did that. I'm like blown away. I think it's one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. So.
Oh my gosh. You too. The entire film, and so inspiring and so mesmerizing.
All right, you smashed it.
I love talking with Keith about this project, about Rainbird, because I think we were both approaching it as fans of the original novel, fans of that story. And so when we started talking about Rainbird, of course we were working from Scott's script, Scott Teams' script. And already that was a radical re-envisioning of Rainbird. And I feel it was, like an updating of a character from, I think, a different time period, a different cultural moment. And I think the most exciting part of it is that Rainbird was more deeply connected with the shop and these experiments than in the original novel. One of the things that intrigues me and brings me back to King's work the most is the development of his characters. Believable people in extraordinary circumstances. And so I think he often takes a person who's on the verge of making a discovery or passing through some kind of liminal moment. Certainly with Charlie, she's a girl that's becoming a teenager, and she's going through all these incredible changes. Zach did such beautiful work with Andy in exploring how a parent manages really complex emotions in their children. I was really, really, really impressed with how that emotional sort of journey was handled. Certainly in Zach's performance and with Ryan, but also in the script, and just understanding how a parent would do anything to save their child.
Who knows what she can do? I mean, she could destroy the whole world. And so I think that's like one of the major fears is like, what is she capable of though? What is Charlie capable of? And I think that's one of the major fears throughout the film. What is she capable of? Working with fire, I always saw the movies where people actually had powers, and I always wondered, how did they do it? And I actually got to be a part of something like that. And so it was really cool to see how they did everything. And a lot of the stunts on the set were real, which was crazy. And they were really, really cool to see all the things that they could do. So something that reminded me of Andy and Charlie's relationship was my relationship with my own dad. He's always there supporting me, and that was something I definitely looked at, seeing the relationship. And I actually love that about the script, that it's mostly about family. And I think that's a huge message. And there was so much stuff I could look at from what I had with my dad and I's relationship. And I really use that as an example of what Charlie would be like with her dad.
We really wanted to be true to the book in a different way. That movie existed. People had that story. Let's tell it a little differently, but be truer to the emotional content of the book and the kind of this dynamic between Charlie and the family and how her powers develop. And so we really focused on that. The family's been on the run from the people who created the drug Lot 6 and the experiment that they were in. And they've been hiding for years when the film opens, but Charlie's ability and how it manifests when she gets upset has put them into danger. The shop knows where they are, and they've sent somebody named Rainbird to come and bring Charlie in. And that's kind of where we pick up. I love the really grounded, kind of very natural, scientific take on what these powers would look like, you know, how they would feel, the damage they could cause, and if you put a child with these powers in a very real world, what would happen? What would it look like? At the same time, that is how you can get these suspenseful moments of if Charlie gets upset, what's going to happen? It was that inner turmoil and emotion that Ryan was just amazingly able to summon up, like on the spot. Ryan's audition, her first audition, I could see it. Ryan just had this inner sort of tension and this sort of combustion, for lack of a better word, that just kind of, you could just see in her eyes. And so, you know, the minute we saw her, we knew, like, she would just be ideal for this.
Firestarter is about a family who's going to extreme lengths to protect their daughter, who has this telepathic ability, from a group of people who want to harness her power. Their daughter's ability is new, and she's not used to controlling her power. And her parents really don't want her to use it. But through the film, we discover that they have these special abilities, and those abilities put them all in a ton of danger. Charlie is played by Kiera Armstrong, and she has a special telekinetic ability that her parents have always encouraged her not to use. They encouraged her really to bury it down inside of herself, but it's bubbling up. And when she gets emotional, her emotions trigger that ability. So when she's scared or she's upset or when she's frustrated, it's really easily brought to the surface. But Charlie's inability to control her powers and the fact that evil forces want to learn more about it and potentially use it to hurt Charlie and others puts her and the people around her in a lot of danger.
I think the most important theme of the novel is how do we manage our own pain? And I think that all the characters in Firestarter are wrestling with that. And what is great about Stephen King's work is he puts kind of a warped lens on human emotion. So it enhances parts of the continuum of human feeling, but they remain recognizable. So the idea that rage can kill is something that all children believe. In Charlie's case, it's true. And that metaphor is an extraordinary way to explore how we handle our own despair, anger, and suffering. Zach is a terrific actor and has always had range and has, I think, over the course of his career been expanding it, if not really expanding it, demonstrating to the world how much he can do. And so I think this sort of taking this role of a father riddled with guilt, riddled with compassion, and willing to do anything to save his child was sort of the natural next step in the evolution of the roles he's taken. And I just thought he was spectacular doing it.
Hi guys, here's today's Daily Fact. Did you know that Stephen King, the author of The Shining, wasn't even a fan of the film? During the 80s, he told Playboy magazine that he was deeply disappointed in the end result and that he didn't even like the casting of Jack Nicholson, who he considered all wrong for the part. Well, we love the movie. Remember to click below to subscribe on the side for more awesome content.